never seen him work that way. And it really surprised me. And I'm 99% sure it was like some of the reasons he did this movie was just like that one scene. We haven't seen him do that. So if you're a Don Johnson fan, you're looking to, see something different. This is the one.
Hey everybody, got a Three Geeks Conversation. I got James DuMont here with me. How's it going, James?
It's going.
Good to hear. You're an actor. What kind of got you into acting? What sparked that
That's
bug?
a good question. Yeah, I was a kid actor. Actually, it started even earlier than that. When I was my mom, there was these contests for the Gerber baby bottles. So if she submitted a picture and you got picked, they would do a drawing on there. So I was one of the Gerber babies back in the day. So that was like my first kind of gig as a child. And then I'm originally from Chicago, and so Chicago had a lot of great. It's where McDonald's started. So there was McDonald's commercials, and Marshall Fields was there, and a couple other, So I started doing commercials as a kid, and then I did lots of theater. Did like musicals and stuff. I think it was John and Peter Pan back in the day, part of the Jack and Jill Players in Chicago, and went to a performing arts high school called Whitney Young. Yeah, that's where Michelle Obama was a year ahead of me, which was kind of wild. Like who was at your school?
Yeah.
And then both Larry Wachowski and his brother were both the Wachowski brothers were at my school, and their sister was there as well. So a lot of people kind of came out of that school, which is pretty cool. And I did a performing arts high school. Then I went to Evanston Township, where I graduated from Evanston Township. And again, a year behind me was John Cusack, and my year was Jeremy Piven. 2 years ahead of me was Joni Cusack. So that was kind of cool. Cusacks were there. So I always had these kind of like places where people were performing. I did improv at Second City when I was in high school. I was an intern at the Steppenwolf Theater Company. And then I got a scholarship to go to Boston University. Ironically, I'm working on a show here in Boston that I can't talk about. But I'll tell you about it later. Our next interview.
Please.
Then went to school at BU for a couple of years, and then I went to New York and did like 200 plays in New York, one of which was 6 Degrees of Separation that got me to Broadway. And then it did a national tour, which got me to Los Angeles. And then I spent 20 years in Los Angeles. Last 10 years, I've been in New Orleans, back and forth between New Orleans, New York, Atlanta. There's this like little kind of triangle work that's going down, but mostly work in the East Coast. That's been my thing lately.
That's awesome. I was just in New Orleans last year for the Jazz and Heritage Festival.
Yeah.
What a great, I love the city. I was only there for a couple of days, but what a great time.
My recommendation is next time come back for French Quarter Fest, which is after Mardi Gras and before Jazz Fest. And French Quarter Fest, all the concerts are free. They're outdoors. You go from stage to stage. You can make a donation if you want. But it's like you can walk around with your drink. We have an open carry law, concealed carry guns, but open carry beer. So when we go all, no conceal, then it's going to get really crazy. It's like the Wild West. But French Quarter Fest is one of my favorites. It's right around 420. It's usually like around that second week in April. And you can literally it goes from Thursday to Sunday, and you just go from stage to stage, and you get a hotel in the quarter, and you just drink and eat and listen to music crazy for 4 days. It's pretty fun. And I love Jazz Fest, but it can get very, very hot and really crowded. Everybody's stuck in one place. Yeah. It's like we just saw Dave Matthews Band last time.
That first night, right? Was he the first night or the second weekend?
Second night. I think it was that Friday. Yeah. So we went, we saw that, and we had a great time. We really did. I still enjoy it. I just feel like it's just too crowded and too expensive. That's why I like French Quarter, because it's literally you're not paying for anything other than the food and drink. And they're all there. There's food booths there, but it's not everybody's on top of each other because they're moving around from place to place. So it's one of my favorite festivals.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. It's exactly what I would want out of the Jazz and Heritage Festival.
Yeah.
I went to, you probably know exactly the place I'm talking about, but I went to a very small Italian restaurant above an apartment Yeah,
Yes.
like it had like a club, but not a club. That's not
Yeah.
the right
No,
way
you're
to
right.
say
It
it.
was on Frenchman Street. I know exactly where you went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the best. It was so good. It was so
I
good.
know exactly where you were. And then my favorite bar in the entire planet is just one thing over, which is the Spotted Cat. That's my favorite place.
I walked by there. I did not go in.
Oh yeah, dude, that's
awesome.
Next time, go in there, or DBA across the street. Like it's a good time, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, we're not here talking about New Orleans, but I would talk about New Orleans more because I really did enjoy my time
all day long. Exactly.
But tell me a little bit about Unit 234.
Yeah, Unit 234 is a really great, tight thriller with Don Johnson. And we also have Isabelle Fuhrman from the Orphan movie, you know, and movies. And then Jack Huston from Mayfair Witches, but also he was in Boardwalk Empire as well.
Yeah.
He just directed his first feature, which is awesome, about boxing. And it's a really tight script written by Danny Steiner and Derek Steiner, rather. And our director is Andy Tennant, who directed Hitch and Sweet Home Alabama. Not known for thrillers, but man, he put together a really tight film. And the joy for me is I play Leon, who is kind of like Don Johnson's driver, right-hand man, enforcer, bodyguard. You know, I'm everything to Don. And we shot it in Grand Cayman Island. What an incredibly beautiful place to work.
Yeah.
And I was there for 6 weeks, so I had a really great time working on that film. And what I really love is we released it for a week in movie theaters in 5 cities, and then it went right to video on demand. So it's on demand right now. You can get it on Apple, you get an Apple, you get an Amazon. It'll permanently reside at a streamer. They haven't announced which one it is, but I know we have a streaming deal. But for now, I would say to people, man, if you're looking for a good, tight thriller with a lot of twists and turns, this is the one. And Jack Huston, physically, the work he did was just extraordinary. And Isabelle Fuhrman was just a little badass. You know, it's just like fun. And Don, there's a scene, I was just talking about this in a previous interview. It's like there's a scene in the movie that Don does that I've never seen him do before. I've never seen him this incredibly emotional and vulnerable and very innocent. And I just never seen him work that way. And it really surprised me. And I'm 99% sure it was like some of the reasons he did this movie was just like that one scene. We haven't seen him do that. So if you're a Don Johnson fan, you're looking to, see something different. This is the one, and it's just tight. There's also, I always make the joke. It's like, you see the trailer and it's like all the good scenes are in the trailer.
Yeah.
Our trailer is good. It's a tight trailer, but the movie is better because there's these 5 other little plot twists in there that like people just, even in the audience are like, oh my God, so it's really great to if you're looking for that thriller just to kind of curl up and you like a good story, this one's 90 minutes, like just tight, as good as it gets. And there is that kind of like cat and mouse kind of thing. Just when you think you know what it is, then there's this other twist and the other twist. And you can't put that in the trailer because then you're like spoiling the movie. So the good news is the movie's better than the trailer. And a lot of people say they love the trailer, and I love the trailer. But that was and I forgot certain scenes. It was like we shot it 3 years ago. So I really wanted to go to LA and be there for, in the theater experience. And I'm really glad I did,
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, Don Johnson's big for me because I was a big Nash Bridges guy growing up. I watched a lot of his stuff. Do you have a specific moment in the movie you're like, man, I get to work with Don Johnson, or was it never like that? Because you're with him so much.
I haven't done, I don't do fanboy too much.
Fair,
although, deep down, I'm like, I kind of keep it into myself. I think one time I kind of had that happen where I was doing Ocean's 13.
Yeah.
And there was a scene that I was, Al Pacino was in the movie, but I originally was mostly with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
But then later my scene got rewritten because there was this new technology about where you could, that when people are sitting down at the table, they can read their blood pressure. So they're not cheating. So there's a way they can look at their see if they're dilated, or they're using like technology to kind of like. So there was a new system that they had to do. So they had to so I did the scene. The first scene I did was with Al Pacino, and I did it. I was like, I got this. And then literally he walked by me, like in the beginning. He's in like a $10,000, like tuxedo.
Easy.
$10,000 watch. And his cologne, I was just like the whiff of his, I was like, it's Al Pacino. Oh my God. I had to come. Whoa, James, whoa. Just another actor in a scene. You're just working together, relax. But yeah, I had a fan. That was my big fanboy moment, was with him. And, it turned out that my sister knew my sister's kid, my niece and nephew, or my niece, I think, would play with like his kids. And so I like was able to kind of drop a name and like some artist that he was like a big fan of, and have another conversation about art with Al Pacino, which is kind of wild. So that was one of those fanboy moments I had where I just kind of like, and I didn't have that with Don. I think that the difficult challenge we had was our first day of shooting.
Sure.
It was announced that Bruce Willis had his very close with Bruce. In fact, he got Bruce's first kind of job on Miami Vice, and so that was hard. Our first day of work was just him really kind of getting his head around hearing that news, because he didn't know that information. And so it was just kind of a difficult way to start. I think we got time to work a little bit, but no. And you made me think about the other time that I kind of did a fanboy thing is I did the movie Speed. I'm in the opening scene of Speed, and Dennis Hopper like stabs in the head with I think it was like I think it was just a screwdriver. He just gives me a screwdriver to the head and like takes me out like immediately. And there was this time where it was Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper in the makeup trailer with me. And the two of them were talking about a visual artist for some reason. Because I guess there was a painter that was going to make his first feature. And Dennis really was a collector of art, all different kinds of art. And it was just like Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper talking about art. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, no one's going to believe that these guys are so, that they are such they know their art. Like, they know art history. Like, no one would believe, dude. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, yeah, man, that's the thing. It was just like, that was one of those kind of fanboy kind of moments too. And a little bit, I've had a few more than one.
Sure. That's incredible. But you mentioned kind of being on a really cool location, and it's not a terribly large cast. Were you able to kind of hang out with your co-stars at location? Stuff?
Yeah, most of the movie takes place at night, so we had our days free to kind of go swimming with stingrays, and we did, and we got went to this turtle. They have this turtle sanctuary there, and the sunsets in Grand Cayman Island are just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's like the sunset takes an hour. Like, it's not like other things like, okay, it's gone. It's like, no, it goes this color and then another color, and then it stretches out, and then it's orange, and then it's burnt orange, and then it's yellow, and then blue, and like it's just I kept putting them up on Instagram, and people just kind of hating on me. Just like, look, listen, I do 50 to 100 job interviews a year. Okay. To maybe get 1 or 3 jobs, and then when you get one of these things, it's like, you have to enjoy it, like all of it. So everybody's like, oh, great. James is another sunset. Great. Thanks, James. I'm stuck in my shit job, it's like, but it was one of those things where, I try to do this as much as I possibly can. It's like, it's not so much about me. It's about about the journey of being an actor, because it is not for everyone. It's like I said, you're doing 50 to 100 job interviews a year. In a good year, 1, 3, 5, great year, 10. So that means, 90 job interviews that don't lead to an outcome, and so, or a result immediately. Sometimes they do over time, but it's not for everybody, not for the faint of heart. So when we do get these kind of wins, And it's not necessarily, I don't feel it's necessarily, it is a win for me, but it's really a win for those who are persistent, those who don't give up.
Yeah.
And so I don't mind being kind of a poster child for, not giving up, and in fact, that's kind of how I'm still, the fact that I get to still do this 40 years later is awesome. It's what I wanted to do as a kid. It was my dream. I got to fulfill it. Where it goes, to what capacity, the next thing they're producing things with both myself and my son, who was also on the Righteous Gemstones with me. We just finished our fourth, 6 years of our lives, 4 seasons, because we stopped for COVID and a couple of strikes. And, he ended up doing 25 episodes. I did 20. But for us to kind of go on this kind of experience together that we didn't want to end. Nobody wanted to end.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where I feel like, I teach as well. I teach people how to do self tapes. I have a thing called oncameraworkouts.com.
That's awesome.
I have like 2,500 students all over the world, and mostly on Zoom. And then I do live classes, like I'm doing live classes in New York these next couple of weeks. And I feel like that it's the joy is being able to kind of give back right now. Like I've been doing this for a long time and had great success with self-tapes. Now self-tapes have become the norm. So I've been doing it like 10 years before it became industry standard. So, it gives me, I have a lot of information and knowledge and experience and wisdom that came out of making mistakes. And so I feel like it's kind of my responsibility to share as much knowledge as I can and try to help people to avoid the pitfalls of kind of falling into traps of resting on your laurels, thinking, people are going to be, that you're entitled to anything, which is a really kind of tough. I always say entitlement's this kind of like double-edged sword. Sometimes it's your sense of entitlement that can get you into trouble, but also your sense of entitlement can kind of force you to not give up a little bit, so there is this kind of, I try to instill and share as much as I can about the process of being an actor. And when it comes to, look, for example, this job that I'm doing right now, it's like I auditioned for this same casting office for 4 years, and I did 33 auditions in 4 years. I got 14 callbacks, so almost half I got called back. And then 4 times they put me on a pin, which is between me and somebody else, or availability, checking my availability.
Sure.
And then finally I break through with this one job. So it's like 33 attempts, 14 coming close, 4 times coming really close, and then finally booking the thing. And it's it's not, again, not about my ego or anything like that. It's just a matter of reality of what it takes to kind of continue to fight, to continue to try to do what you want to do, and to tell stories. And so, and I know we're at a difficult time where, funds are being cut from the arts, which is like artists are going to be, and we're finding ways in which to kind of cut back on things that are, that I think are necessary and mandatory. What's very funny, it's like when COVID hit, what did everybody do? They were voracious for listening to music. They watched billions of hours of content. So at a time that we're all facing this life, death, plague, what do people do? They turn to us, storytellers, the artists. And so, we weren't as essential workers as people in the medical field, that's for sure. But we were pretty essential that when people really were looking for some solace and kind of peace, sanity in the insane time that it was, which I also believe helped the planet for, give us more time here.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, there were some positives that came out of grounding planes and closing off, buses and trains and, and less pollution in the air, but we're back at it. So
I mean, can't keep it down.
Yeah. Stripping away those regular, just let them poison in water. It's no big deal. Just let it happen.
You'll drink it.
Maybe humans aren't supposed to be on the planet. I don't know. Maybe the planet's going to be fine. Humans on it? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a joke, right? Oh man, what was his? Oh man, I remember him. Oh, that's all right. But no, he was an epic comedian. He had a very similar thought. I forget.
More than likely it's George Carlin. There's no two ways.
Yeah, 100% of George Carlin. 100%.
It was definitely George Carlin. And George Carlin's like, yeah, the planet's going to be fine. Just people on it, not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, don't worry about the planet. Planet's not worried about you. They're just getting poisoned. So figure it out. Because I remember there's a lot of things. I saw George Carlin's show. It's a great one to watch. It's on YouTube. It's called The Big Club, and he did it when the first Bush, I think it was 90. Yeah, 1990 when first Bush was in office. Mm-hmm. He did the thing called The Big Club. It's a big club, and you're not in it. You know, it's like
yeah.
And it's as if he would have done it like just yesterday. Everything. This is from 1990, right? Because I saw it live in New York, and I remember looking at it, and I'm like, oh man, George he's a bitter, angry dude. And right. We have to be more angry about how we're seeing how we're not treating each other with any sense of equality. You know, there's such disparity of wealth. You know, it's like billionaires, and then people, the billionaires are becoming billionaires because they're not giving people a living wage. You know, it's like, so it's like, and then if you don't do it, then obedient workers, like we'll just get somebody else that's smart enough to run the machines and dumb enough to, like he says, to get rid of their pensions and health and all the benefits that they worked for. So I remember watching that thing of just going, man, he's so angry and bitter about the world. But then I'm like, well, and that was 1990. So it was very interesting how, great comedians are the kind of, they're the voice of our time. They're speaking truth to power, and they're making fun of it. You know what I mean? And I think there's entertainment to that. So I do feel that's kind of my responsibility. I know that I have this finite period of time that I'm here.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out all the different kind of stories and stuff that I want to tell while I'm here.
Sure. No, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
And we touched on a lot of stuff that I want to kind of poke at, but
go ahead.
I did want to ask about the Righteous Gemstones and working with your son. Like, how cool was that? Like, that's something I was reading about, and I was like, man, that had to be really super, either really cool, or there's something like, man, I'm with my dad. Like, I don't know.
No, really cool. I mean, there was none of that, but like we have this ongoing fun with it, which was, I got cast first. I had to remind him, like, I got the job first. And then I coached him for his audition, his self-tape. And there was something at the end, I put a button on the self-tape because he was going to Catholic school at the time. And I said, man, you gotta, because it was for Pontius, and Pontius is this little punk, like he's just the middle child that no one's paying it, that he's just going to do everything to get his attention. And so his was for the pilot, and Danny McBride's character goes to kiss him goodnight, and he's like, faggot. He's like, kissing me while I'm in my bed. He goes, man, some of my best friends are gay. I bet they are. And so then he kind of punishes you. You're going to get a timeout. He's going to give him a timeout. So there was a scene about getting a timeout and doing something. And it's because Danny's character had done, like, if you watch the show, Danny's character had, like, I'm not spoiling anything, but in the pilot, Danny's character was totally hypocritical. Like, so he was coming down on Pontius, and I said, look, man, you got to come up with a Bible quote that's something like, he who lives in glass houses shouldn't be throwing stones. It's like, you should not be, you're not any holier than I am, So I was like, so he had, like, he came up with some, like, Bible quote. And then, like, within days they called up and they go, yeah, Danny wants to meet Kelton, to do like a little improv, to know each other. So they flew us out to Charleston, and we met with Danny. And then I got to meet him because I've been trying to get on there since Eastbound and Down and Vice Principals.
Yeah.
And I've been wanting to work with this dude forever. And then, he had his call back, and I got to meet Danny. And at a certain point, Danny was in the trailer one time with Kelton and I, and he's like, man, I got 2 DuMonts on my show. He was like so enjoyed by that. And we were just, we spent Father's Day together, working on.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So, it's kind of like, it's one of those things when I've said this to Danny many, many times, how appreciative I am of just having this experience with him, but then to do this with my son and have my son grow up, as his dad, his TV dad for 7 years.
Yeah.
And, because he started when he was 14 and he finished when he was 21. So it's like, it's been
crazy.
Like your teen years are documented on a TV show. So yeah, now the deal is I have a feature that I wanted, that I'm going to produce, that my son's going to be the lead in, and I have a supporting role in that. And that's what I want to do, is to do, he and another guy that he went to college, is going to college with, is going to direct, and his parents are also in the business as well. So it's like, we're going to kind of put this really cool project together so that we can continue that idea of, I say to people, I'm most happiest and comfortable when I'm at home with my family,
sure,
or when I'm on set. And the fact that I got both of those, it was just like joy of joys. Another project I did with both my kids, Steven Soderbergh was directing it, and for HBO. And then three of us were in like we're doing this really cool TV show together. All three of us are in the thing with Steven Soderbergh behind the camera and directing. And I was like, guys, do you understand how amazing this is? Like, right. That we're all on the same project, and we're working with this Oscar-winning director who ironically went to the same high school with my wife. And so it's like, it was this kind of a crazy. Fun. So there's these times where I kind of like remind my son that, life is made up of moments in time, and this is, we're having a moment here. You know what I mean? This is a moment. I can turn him and I go, Cooperstown is like big smile. Like say Chicago. I can say Lollapalooza. We went to Lollapalooza in the middle of like COVID was still happening, and it was like so risky because he was like, we were scared of bringing back COVID. So it's like he wanted to go in the mosh pit and like jump in, and I'm like, no, dude, we can't.
Yeah,
we got to come in, you can see Tyler the Creator, but we got to go back. Like we can't. Mm-hmm. And then we get to set, and it's like Joe Jonas's driver gets COVID. We're trying to avoid it, and here we are. We're getting it from the chauffeur. Like it's being passed from the chauffeur. So we were able to skirt that one, which is kind of wild. But it was like, so having that experience together really, there is that hilarious thing of like, he'll remind me, he'll go, well, that's because I'm a gemstone. And you're a friend of a gemstone. You're not a gemstone. You're a friend. You're my dad's friend, but you're like a buddy. You're like a
that's awesome.
Extra. Yeah. So we have fun with that, with that kind of thing. And, we had a great time. Now we're trying to figure out what the next thing is,
Sure. That's part of the fun. It sounds like.
Yeah. Somebody that like has scripts and was like periodically asked me if I'm looking for anything. And I was just like, hey, you know what? I am looking for a father and son. Like, I think you need to go find me something, Yeah.
Is that related to the self-tape specialist stuff? Do you are in work with this company?
Is my teaching, this is the thing I do. I teach on-camera workout. And so it's called oncameraworkouts.com. We have an Instagram site of on-camera workouts. And I wanted people to learn it is the way it is in the 21st century now is, the economic environmental impacts of putting everybody in the same room to make casting decisions doesn't make sense anymore. And the fact that people can live in one market and work in other markets. Mm-hmm. So the fact I'm based in New Orleans and New York, but I self-tape everywhere, for job. Yeah. This job I'm on is in another city than I reside. Mm-hmm. So the fact that I'm able to, or others are able to kind of work in multiple markets and not have to live in New York or LA, that's a big thing for even casting offices now don't have physical offices anymore. So, even they really embraced this idea from working from home and making it economical and giving more people an opportunity. I think that's one of the joys of doing, the self-taping thing is it gives them an opportunity to 6 people on Wednesday during the day. And we watch people self-tapes, and I show my self-tapes. And then I do a live class for like 8 on-camera people, and then as many observers as we can get. Mm. And then I do another live class. I do core work where I teach people a 3-week class where it's from script analysis to eye lines in terms of the frame, in terms of bringing the bringing the nouns, person, places, things, and events that are on the page to some visual life, because film and television is a visual story. Oftentimes people just memorizing words without visualizing what they're talking about. And I feel like that's the difference between a good self-tape and a great self-tape. So I try to share, and on Instagram, on our on-camera workouts, I throw up my auditions next to the scenes that I did. And this for Unit 234, I have my audition still, and I have the now I have the whole movie, so I'm going to be able to kind of like show you the self-tape that led to the job. And so, those kind of things I think are valid and important, because everybody's going through a particular process. And now self-tapes have become such the normal entryway and ways in which the people can continue to work. I'm teaching from my on-camera experience from being on camera. I think there's other people teaching. Casting directors have been really helpful in kind of the likes and the dislikes and the things that their subjective tastes, but the other side to that is they're talking about curation of art as opposed to creating it. So being able to watch self-tapes is one thing. Being able to coach somebody on how to effectively have a self-tape is something else. So, I offer something like actor to actor is really kind of what I offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was thinking about it while you were talking, and you can keep me honest, but it's almost like you're trying to teach someone to be also engaging, right? Because I've done hundreds of these interviews, right? Talking to people, and like, if I get them in a room, it's a different chemistry. It's a different interaction than versus this webcam, right? Like connecting with someone via this medium is hard. It's hard to be like, hey, I'm a genuine human to really connect with. Is that something that kind of touches on with your classes too? Like, hey, you have to connect with these people as people, and then you get, you know what I mean? Like, and then get into whatever acting thing you're going to do.
That's right. And it is this, it's very interesting. It's kind of like I'm using the analogy. It's like speed dating. It's like they decide in the first 3, 5, 7 seconds if they're going to watch the rest of your interview. And the reality is that, most of the people that are watching these, are raised on these things. So their attention span is
0.
Like you gotta grab. So, I think I focus a lot on trying to capture that first moment, because I do feel it's like the first moment of any job interview or any date that you're going on. It's kind of like you decide if you want to go on another date, and you decide if you want to, and you're right. You have to engage them, and even engage before you're speaking. You have to consistently. The thing I figured out in this thing, and again, I've been self-taping for 15 years. I've booked well over $1 million worth of work. If you think even more than that, if you add up all the residuals over the years. And for example, like I say, is, Righteous Gemstones. I did one self-tape that led to 4 seasons and 20 episodes. Yeah. One job interview. My son, same thing. One self-tape, a callback in person, and then 25 episodes, 4 years, paying for college. So it's like, it's one of the, so what's the power of a self-tape? Everything, Same thing with same thing with this project that I've been on. I just, this one casting office, I did over 4 years. I did 33 auditions. I got called back 14 times. So I came close. And then 4 times it's called a pin or a veil. A pin, it's between you and another person. They're pinning you. So, and then a veil is just, we just want to make sure your availability for this time period or when we're shooting. So, and so 4 years, 33 attempts, 14 close calls, 4 really close calls, and then finally one job. So that's just one office, and there are hundreds of offices all over the world. So one has to get really good at, I always say to everybody, it's like, you audition far more than you're ever going to act.
Sure.
In fact, maybe 90% of the time you're auditioning, and 10% or 1% of the time you're working. So get good at this. Enjoy this. This is the only acting you're going to get to do this week. So, so enjoy that you get to stop everything, and because there is a frustration, and I have the same thing. I'm traveling around and like, I gotta figure out how to do this. My son's like juggling, his finals and a show that he has to do, and he's got to do this huge audition for this, major television project, so it's like he's got to figure out how to stop everything and do that, so there is this, it's a challenge, and some people do well with it and others do not. And so I try to get people to figure out, keep the joy of it. And as I said, it's an opportunity for you to act. And each time there's a great book that my friend Tim Phillips wrote called Audition for Your Career, Not the Job. And you get it on Amazon, and it's about script analysis and being able to learn how to break down material. And it's the basis of mostly what I teach. And then the on-camera component of it. But Tim, the title of the book kind of describes my career. I'm auditioning for my career, not the job. Like there may be many reasons the most talented actor may not get the role, but you have to make enough of an impact and an impression that sticks over decades. I still have casting directors that have been calling me in since I was in my 20s. In fact, this movie Unit 234, the main casting director I've known since I was 20 years old.
That's cool.
And so I met his assistant in 2019. And then I had another audition before COVID with the same casting director. Then after COVID in 2021, and then I booked this job in 2022. Yeah. So from meeting her in the fall of 2019 to where I paid $60 to be in a casting workshop, I paid to meet with this person, because I knew they were working for this cast director that I knew, but I didn't know them, and I wanted them to get to know me. And it was like, I'm just paying for this session. And that one $60 investment led to 6 weeks of work in Grand Cayman Island, opposite Don Johnson. So there's big ROI if you stick around, and be a good business person. I try to kind of email people and stay in touch, and this is what I'm doing, that thing. So, that's how this movie came about, was just, I needed to get to know this cast, and then making enough of an impression each time for them to go, I'm thinking about, maybe we should bring James in for this thing. So that's kind of how, you never underestimate the value of, if, some people are always like, well, I've been doing it and I haven't got any bookings, or I haven't got any callbacks. And I'm like, well, if you're meeting with the same casting director over a period of time, those are as good as jobs. Those will lead to something.
Sure.
So it's a matter of, I try to help actors as best I can to make enough of an immediate impression that sticks. And and like you said, I use the word engagement all the time. And if you disengage from the people that you're dealing with on the other side of this lens, or you working outside of the frame, you're just sending a message. You don't know how to work within the frame. And the director's got to take these words that are on a page and fit them within this frame. So we're part of that collaboration. So that's what I teach. That's what I focus on.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. And I don't want to take up all of your time. I could talk to you all day. But Jurassic World, I'm a big Jurassic Park guy. So if you can tell me anything about the shooting or the memory of, would be super cool to talk about.
Definitely we'll do that. Yeah, Jurassic World was like, that was a great, what a great experience it was. One of the things were that I had done Catch Me If You Can, and then I did War of the Worlds with Spielberg. And lucky for me, the director, Colin Trevorrow, had seen Dallas Buyers Club. So it was really great for him to like he knew my work and was a fan of it. And then lucky for me too was, say lucky, it's just, I've been, there's no really luck in the business. It's just a matter of preparation, opportunity. But I had done Get On Up, that was produced by Ron Howard and his producing partner. And the week before I shot Jurassic World, Bryce Dallas Howard, her dad, Bryce, Ron's daughter, was in Jurassic World and had seen a screening of it before. So she was like, "Hey, you're the guy." And I just saw it. I was like, "Oh, is it good?" She's like, "Oh, it's fantastic. You're going to love." So it was like, that's how that started. Then Colin was a fan of the Dallas Buyers Club.
Mhm.
And so that was a nice way to kind of start off as, people familiar. And then Colin had a very hilarious thing that he did that I teach everybody now. It's like, because I didn't take the best advantage of it. When I do self-tapes, I always say to them, give them a second take unless they insist on one. Give them another one. Have another one ready to go. And because when I got on set, I worked so quickly and efficiently. He's like, do you want to do another? We can do another one. And I was like, okay. And I was so, like, I guess I was a little intimidated. I was so used to just being such a a closer in baseball. Like, I'm just throwing strikes here.
Yeah.
Like, and then I was like, they were like, well, let's just do something different. And then I was like, okay. I was like, and then I really didn't have it. It wasn't that different. He goes, that's it. I was like, yeah, I think you got it.
Yeah.
You're the guy from Dallas Buyers Club. I thought you'd be giving me, So it was like I didn't take best advantage of that second opportunity because I had done the work I wanted to do and I was intended to do. So because it was such a big project and it's such a being part of that franchise, is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So funny because I got to talk to Jeff Goldblum at I went to Vanity. Yeah, in the throes of everything. And there was this weird little shade he kind of threw my way because he wasn't in Jurassic World. And it's like, he's like, yeah, no, that's great. You're doing that. It's good for you. They're keeping that franchise going without me, and then later on he comes back to it. But it was just weird. Like, is Jeff Goldblum like jealous that I'm in the franchise? Like, I go, I don't know. I think you're coming out ahead on this one. Yeah, so it was just a very weird kind of energy, and then I ran into him kind of later on after he had been like in another, part of the franchise again. And he was like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you again. It's just like, it was just like this weird thing. Like, yeah, I had that with another actor too. It was like, I think he was actually up for the role that I got. And it was like, yeah, it was just very weird.
Yeah.
You never kind of know. It's one of these things. Just, I'm just glad to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. Now, sorry, I keep telling you one last thing, but
yeah,
tapes, do you when you finish like a recording or a session, do you know like, oh, I feel like I'm really good about that one, and you usually like, did your gut usually tell you if you get the job or not, or is that even a hard read?
No, that's it's so subjective on that other side. I try to stay out of that mindset just because I liken it to a visual artist, like a painter. You paint because you have to, because that's how you want to express yourself. I didn't do that. I didn't make that painting so it goes with your couch. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, so I think, I try to stay away from results, outcomes, expectations of stuff because I'm really, that's so out of my hands. I think I can try to mitigate. Like, for example, like that's this thing I was just telling you about this job that I'm on now. It's like, each one of those auditions was solid, for 4 years. They wouldn't have called me back and they wouldn't keep coming back if the work was not good enough.
Yeah, totally fair.
And so I think and again, there's so many chefs in that kitchen. The most talented person doesn't always get it. The most crafty person does. But I feel like I can't out-fame somebody. I mean, if somebody's more well-known than I am, I can't win that game. And I can't win the nepotism kind of like my agent represents this person, or I'm like, I work with this, like that's my cousin or my uncle. Like I can't so I feel like craft is about the only thing I have influence over and control of.
Yeah.
So I try to control my controllables which is the level of my skill set, how execution. I'm just trying to mitigate the outcomes by just what I can control. I can't control if I look like somebody's ex-husband. It's just not going to like, they physically was not what they had in mind. And so I do have to kind of think about those things, but I don't spend a lot of time. Just go when I done that. When the smartest thing and healthiest thing I do to people is like, I encourage everyone is to go do your best work under the circumstances and the time that you have, the most execution you possibly could get. and then you got to let it go. And once you click that submit button and once you send it off, you're done. Your work as an actor is over until, like, for example, like now I'm finally 2 weeks later after on this job, I'm going to finally do the scene that I did, the audition for, 2 months ago or something like that. So same thing holds true. Like I was just talking about the Aaron Hernandez thing I did for FX. I did that audition in July, an hour before the SAG strike was called. Like I got it in 11 o'clock for the midnight cutoff in New York. Yeah. And because of the strike was called, I didn't hear back about that audition. That was in July. I didn't hear back about that audition till between Christmas and New Year's. They were checking my availability, and I wasn't booked or on set until February. So like 8 months later, but I did feel the feeling you talked about. Like my son and I shot it together, and he was like, "Man, that was really good." I really feel like each of these that I do really feels like this is the best I got right now under these circumstances.
Yeah.
My feeling is that, I try to, and I don't usually get into more than like 3 takes. Maybe I'll do a fourth one. I know there are people that go like multiple, like double digits. I'm like, if you're doing multiple digits self-tapes, please, anybody out there, call me immediately. You need to be in my class. There's no reason for you to be doing 5 to 10 takes of any scene at any point in time, unless there's leaf blowers and dogs and fire trucks and then people would be forgiving. But it's like being able to kind of deliver, because that's what's going to happen on set. Like tomorrow we have a big scene of 5 or 6 people with lots of dialogue and moving parts. It's like, so I'm preparing myself for all the circumstances that kind of come up, but I got to deliver my part of this chorus, get to my solo when I come around. So that, I think preparation is the big, happily my son, got mentored by John Goodman, and he asked for advice, and John's like, prepare. And then when you get on set, you have to be ready and prepared to adjust. But the more you kind of do that, the better. So tonight, when I'm done here, gonna have some dinner with my niece, and then I'm gonna sit down and run the scene just like they say the great ones run it 250 times over and over and over and over and over and over again. Just get it in my head. So when I get there, it's really second nature, and I can be free to kind of do whatever comes up. And it may change. There may be some people making different lines and may improv. I mean, who knows? But I got to be kind of ready for all of that.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What outside of unit, sorry,
Unit 234.
Yeah, 234. What else you got going on in your life? We can.
Well, I got another film. One of the cool things that happened is I used to get half the time I would get offers for projects, and then the other half I would audition. And I got an offer last fall to work on a movie opposite Mel Gibson. So I'm doing a movie called Hunting Season. And
awesome.
When that's about to come out, you and I will sit down.
Please, I love it.
But yeah, so I got an opportunity to work with Mel Gibson. Paragraphs and paragraphs of dialogue. I think I had 11 scenes that I did in 3 days. So it was pretty intense. But yeah, so that's a thing coming out. And then obviously Righteous Gemstone is on HBO, or now they're getting back to calling it HBO Max. Thank you very much.
Thank God.
Bring that HBO. That was a tried and true brand. Like, don't, Coca-Cola. Let's change the brand. I was like, no, let's not.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can find the HBO. If they haven't watched Gemstones, I strongly recommend you do. Season 4 is a great way to go out. But we got Bradley Cooper in our first episode of season 4, which is amazing. And I got a feeling I'm feeling pretty good. I think we might get some Emmy acknowledgement.
I hope so.
I think Walton Goggins' Baby Billy is like that's if there wasn't Emmy fodder for comedy, that's it. And Bradley Cooper getting the nomination for supporting actor for a guest actor in a comedy. I good luck. I think. So we're feeling pretty good about how it went down. So I feel like that Gemstones coming out is great. You can always watch those episodes. And then this project I'm on, it should probably be about another year or so before it's all said and done. And it looks fantastic people. I'm excited about it. It's super funny. And it's nice to kind of go on to another gig right after Gemstones. It was like, I kind of needed, oh, okay. I can move on. I got another job now. Let's just relax. It's like, dude, your career's not over. It's not stopping. Move things overseas. Everything's fine. Relax. It's like, so I got to kind of remind myself. It's like, just relax. You're fine.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Any social medias you want to promote? Anything like
personally? For actors, who out there really want to learn self tapes, it's On Camera Workouts, plural, on Camera Workouts on Instagram. And then my Instagram is James DuMont, at James DuMont, DuMont. And those are my socials. I don't do Twitter, don't do or X, or whatever you're calling it these days. Facebook, my pages are already filled, so it's like, I get 5,000 in one page, 5,000 another. It's like are
they paying you yet? You're in the money.
I don't know. I haven't maximized that at all. It's like it's interesting because most of my client base are more Facebook posts than Instagram, but I like Instagram is just so easy and it's quick.
Sure.
I did a little bit of TikTok, but I got off it for a bit. So because I thought I was going away. So I'm like, all right, might as well not get too hooked into something that's going away. But yeah, those are the things that are going on. And I'll, next time I see you, I'll get to talk about this project that I'm working on. So it's good.
Love it.
I'm working on stuff with my son. I want to do, there's 2 features that I want to produce that he would be in both of those and I would be in them as well. So we're trying to work on that for the first of the year.
Is that your first foray into producing?
I produced 3 features before. I did one called Cellar Door. If you're like a big horror fan, that was a cool little movie I did. This little torture porn. It was just a little. It's just too much fun. And that's one that I produced with some other my partners and stuff like that, and I'm in that as well. And then I did another one called Statistics, and then another feature. So I did 3 features total.
Awesome.
And so the other 2 I was for hire. I think I did 1 role in Statistics, but it's just a small little cameo role. And then so that's what my focus is. That's kind of what I'm doing these days. Is I want to start to produce things with my son. In it.
Love it.
So we're doing stuff together.
Love it. Yeah. Do you have other children, other family members you're trying to bring in too?
My oldest was an actor, and then has now been writing and kind of like they did the Bonnie and Clyde miniseries. I did the same. I was in the same one, and then we all did stuff together on a HBO project with Steven Soderbergh, where all 3 of us are in the same project, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like more want to write and do more community action stuff. So
cool.
That's going to be the focus. But yeah, so it's my son and myself for now.
Awesome.
We're the on-screen folks. So
love it. Well, James, it's wonderful having you. Like I said, I could talk to you for like 2 hours, I think. I can't wait for you to be on next time to promote your future stuff.
Yep.
But thank you very much. See you, everybody.
Have a good one.